process of heading to Florida. It's time to do a rant. I got 3 topics to rant about. What were they? 1, parking at the gas stations. 2, Google and its directions. 3, not making enough money. Okay. In no particular order. Let's take a look at this. Oh, by the way, I'm Tex, wife Dawn. We're DTN Living Life. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like button, dislike. Well, you can dislike me and like her. That's cool. And notifications. She'll take care of all those. See how I'll pass that off? Yeah. All right. Anyway, so here's what we got. We got some ranting to do. When we go to a gas station, and I'm guilty of this just as much as everybody else is, and there's no gas pumps available because there's a bunch of empty cars sitting there. Now, I would never have an objection if somebody's going in to get a receipt for fuel they just got because they want to make sure somebody else doesn't come up and pick up the pump and start pumping and they don't get their receipt. No, because some of the systems still don't do multiple receipts in a row. So in other words, no, car A pulls up, gets gas, pulls away, goes inside to get a receipt, but while that person's going inside for car A, car B pulls up and starts pumping, it erases the system, so therefore that person can't get that receipt. And yes, there's some systems still out there doing that. I know most of the truck stops have gotten to where they've got the newer systems to where they just ask you how much did you pump, and they find it by the amount of money that you spent on the pump, and they pull it out and print it. But the other ones don't. So I understand people that need to do that. Okay? But you don't need to go inside and go to McDonald's, Arby's, or even worse, Denny's, or Huddle House, or any of the major restaurants, or any of the fast foods, and stand there and place an order, or sit there and eat while your car sits at a gas pump. Okay? Service stations are out to make money. They don't make much off of gas. Now, I know this is going to start an argument because some people are going to say, oh, they're making 25, 30 cents. No, they're not. Really, they're not. Okay? Since I used to work at a gas station, a lot of times you're only making anywhere between 1 to 5 cents per gallon of gas. You're not making that 25 cents, 35 cents a gallon that people think you're making. All right? If you're part of a corporation like Shell, Texaco, Exxon, BP, they give a bigger discount for how many gallons you do in a year, so therefore you can make more money that way. But if you are not part of that, you're just a small time, and let's say you're a small time Shell, you only got 4 gas pumps out there, you're really never going to make that quantity that Exxon puts out for you or Shell puts out for you to achieve that. So hence, they're looking for you to get into the gas pump and get out, just like a waitress or waiter does in a restaurant. They don't need you sitting there talking for hours. You're taking up one of their money makers. Okay? Is the one I use for that. In either case, back onto the Google rant. Sorry to be getting into everything else. The rant happens to be in reference to, that was Garmin, and why do I use Waze? Sorry, jumping over why I use each one of these first. Waze. Waze gives me updated information because there's more people using it than there is using the Google. Waze, that there's more people marking where the incidents are, road closures, things like that, faster than what Google has. So, in other words, Google gets it. If there's a lane closure and the Department of Transportation turned that into Google, then it's in Google and it stays there until the Department of Transportation takes that down. But if it's looking at what people report, Google allows what people report only to stay a certain amount of time, and it doesn't always ask you if that still exists. So therefore, it may, if I go to mark a lane closure, it may stay up for 30 minutes, but then 30 minutes later it's going to disappear because it doesn't ask if it's still there when it's there for 6 weeks while the DOT is working on something. But that's where Waze is different. Waze is actually keeping up to date with different people, marking whether or not these incidents are there. No, there's a car accident on the shoulder and so forth. It allows you to know that there's something on the shoulder. Be prepared for. Now, it doesn't tell you what shoulder. It'd be nice to say right shoulder or left shoulder sometimes, but most of it's always on the right shoulder, so it's accurate most of the time. But it has a 50-50 chance. Anyway, so, but there's why I use Waze. All right, and then on Google has the long-term updates. So therefore, it's got some of the best routes and things like that as far as long-term. But like I said, if I turn on to a route that I'm using Google for, and Garmin comes across and flashes, "Hey, low bridge coming up," then I know, wait a second, I just turned on a route that's going to put me in a bad situation. I know. All right. So that's the reason why I do use both of them, or all three. Now, what do I have a complaint with on Google? Google's got a bad problem. When I turn onto a road, let's say like we are right now on 95 headed south, we're going all the way down below Orlando. Waze and Garmin will tell me to be on this road for 250 miles. Google will say be on this road for 25 miles. And then at 25 miles, there's an exit that goes off. That's a literally exit goes off to the right. It's got its own lane, got everything. It doesn't have anything to do with the interstate. The interstate's still 2 lanes going southbound, but there's a lane off to the right that was created for the ramp, and it goes off to the right, and Google says take exit on the left. There's no exit on the left. It's the same interstate. Why does Google have to call continuation as an exit? Now, if they could do this on places that have splits in the road, so in other words, we're on 2-lane blacktop, right? 2-lane concrete, but 2-lane blacktop headed south. And if this went to 3 lanes, and then we had a split up here for 95 and let's say 26, okay, where 26 and 95 intercept, and 26 goes off to the west or to the east, and there's a split that becomes 3 lanes, and the split takes 2 to the left and 2 to the right. So in other words, it increases at the split. But the thing of it is that if Google say, all right, 95 southbound, stay in the left lane for 95 southbound and 2 miles, and then reminds you in a half mile, 95 southbound, stay in the left lane, then that's cool. But you don't need to tell me that's coming up in 25 miles prior, and that's the only thing that you're telling me. If I know I'm going to be on 95 for 250 miles, I need to know that at the beginning. I don't need to know 25 miles here, 53 miles here, 47 miles here. No, I want to know how long I'm going to be on this road continuously. Therefore, I can actually start looking and saying, wow, I'm going to be on this thing for 250 miles, and it's already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I really don't want to drive that long, so I'll start looking for rest areas. And I'll punch in, search for rest areas, and say, okay, this is where I need to be at. But if it's going to give me exits, I may be thinking, wow, I'm going to have an exit, so I'll find me a Cracker Barrel or something like that on one of these exits. No, not really, because I don't have an exit. and no, I'm not getting off the 95. So, I mean, it's just one of those ways I look at things. It's just a mind-blowing thing of, wait a second, I don't want to know my short distances to all the different exits. If you're going to do that, then you need to put every exit in here and say, go 3 miles for the next exit, go 4 miles for the next exit, 3 miles for the next exit, until you start heading west, and then go 35 miles for the next exit, 45 miles for the next exit, things like that. All right? Google, get with it. Why is it other GPSs can do this, but you can't? All right? So that's the one thing about Google that I dislike. Also, what I dislike about Google happens to be is Google comes across and allows you to search for different things. So while you're en route, all right, but it won't give you information about that location. You literally have to get out of your route and then go back and find it. So while we're driving along, we usually like to eat at mom and pop diners. So we type in the word diner, and it finds 7 different locations. Well, okay, they're all within good time from the highway. How do we get to one of those? Or wait a second, is one of those really going to be that good? And if we, I mean, it doesn't even tell us. It may give us a rating on it and tell us that it's a 4.2, but we have 4 of them that are 4.2, and the other ones are 4.1 and 4.0 and 4 or 3.7. So which one's really the better one? And then one of them might be all Mexican food type diner, and the other one may be all breakfast. But we can't look that up. We don't know, because once you're in the map and navigation, let me say it correctly, once you're in navigation, then you can't research any of the locations coming up. You literally have to say exit navigation, and now type in that name that you just got through looking on there, and you got to remember all of them. Okay? So it becomes more of a pain to even work with the navigation there. But see, that's one of the reasons why we like Google, is because there's so many different places listed, and you can find these places. Can't do that on Waze or Garmin as easy. Yes, you can do it, but it takes a little bit more work. So if I'm going to do more work, I might as well just go ahead and keep using Google for that. But it's a pain. And then you end up missing your exits, because no, you take your phone, you hand it to your wife, and you say, hey, find out about this place or this place. And while she's doing that and you're driving, and she goes, oh, this one's a good one. I'm like, well, that was 20 minutes ago. No, nothing against her. It's just a factor of, no, if we could just literally pick places and look at them while we're driving, my co-pilot would be able to tell me, hey, this is a good place. No, it's coming up in so many minutes or so. Okay. That would be the good part. But no, it's too difficult. Alright, there's my rants. I'm taking up enough of your time. Y'all got to see me drive. Got to see how the Myofo A139 works, inside and out. Hello.
Hey, how are you all doing?
We're doing well.
Are you together or are you still separate?
Nope, we're together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've got like I said, roast beef, hot roast for tomorrow night. Do you all like squash or asparagus?
One says squash.